All right, Chad, let's talk some flips. Tristan Keys was the first 5-star to flip this fall. Statistically speaking, though, he will not be the last. 5-star flips we're watching. Here's 5 of them. Let's start with maybe a bit of a surprise. I mean, not the fact that he's on this list, but Anthony Tank Jones showed up at Miami on Sunday. We talked about that visit list all week, and we didn't really mention Anthony Tank Jones being there. What do you make of the Oregon commit from Alabama showing up at Miami week 1?
Yeah, I think the real answer is that there's interest there. We know Miami was not going to go away. When it came down to commitment date, the final 3 schools were Alabama, Oregon, and Texas A&M, not Miami. Miami got the official visit. They were on the top 5 list, but look, the communication has stayed, somewhat consistent. I mean, there's been some breaks in there when he committed to Oregon and all that, but I think Miami wanted to know really, why do you want to come here? Are you really interested? And I think he said yes and convinced them. And that's why they brought him down and got him a ticket to this game. And obviously it could pay off in the end. They won the game. Yeah. Great environment, upset Notre Dame, a team that played for the national championship last year. And this could be a big momentum start with this Tank Jones, almost like a re-recruitment of the 5-star edge going to Oregon. Look, Oregon is all the way across the country for Tank Jones. He's in southern Alabama. Miami's much closer. Alabama's in-state school. Auburn wants to be involved. So he'll be one to watch now with Miami right in the thick of things these next coming months.
Yeah, and, Oregon is used to this, right? They're used to recruiting nationwide. They're used to hearing that distance is a problem, and sometimes distance isn't a problem. It only becomes a problem when these guys in the South start taking visits more locally. When you see Anthony Tank Jones maybe popping up at an Auburn, popping up at Miami, popping up at Alabama, that's when it kind of becomes a problem for Oregon. So we'll see if they can hang on to their elite edge prospect. All right, the next 2, let's lump them together because they are teammates at Miami Northwestern. You got wide receiver Calvin Russell, who's committed to Syracuse, and then you got James J.J. Johnson, who has already flipped once, and that was from Georgia to Texas. Now, both of them were on the sidelines for this Miami opener. If you're talking Calvin Russell at wide receiver or James Johnson at defensive line, which one of them is more likely to flip to Miami?
I think if I had to pick today, I might pick James Johnson. I mean, look, he's already flipped once. So we know that's not a problem for him. And look, he actually came out, and I think Calvin's trying to be a little bit more quiet about where he's at with Miami, where James kind of just speaks the truth. I mean, when I was talking to him after the visit, he just said, quote unquote, stay tuned about his commitment to Texas and kind of how he feels about Miami. And look, he'll be back at Miami this season for more games. He'll likely be at Texas for a game or 2. But again, you look at that distance, man. Do you want to fly to Austin, Texas from South Florida, or drive 15 minutes down the road where your family can see you at Miami? And I think Miami, this win was huge for them, for not just Russell and Johnson, but other guys that were there, even recruits that were watching on TV, because these guys love Miami. They want to see Miami do well, and that was a statement win. So, look, James Johnson, high on Miami. We expect Calvin Russell to be back in Coral Gables for at least one more game this season as well, and we think that staff has a chance to flip both of these guys come December. But right now, if I had to lean one way or the other, I would lean towards Johnson being the one to watch closer right now.
Yeah, and we'll just have to follow the visits as the fall carries on. One more prospect in South Florida. That's Derrek Cooper, the running back, the top running back from the state of Florida, committed to Texas. There's also some buzz that, he was at Miami, but also maybe Florida State is still in this recruitment as well. So Derrek Cooper, what's the latest on him?
Yeah, he still mentions Florida State and Georgia for that. They were both schools that got him on campus and has been involved. But I still think, if there is a school that Texas has to be worried about, I think it's Miami. Again, he's Miami's number 1 running back target in this class. You have other guys up there like Jay Lamar, who's committed to Georgia. But they have one running back committed in Javion Mallory, and he was there Sunday too. But they want to add a second back in this class. They love nothing more for it to be Derrek Cooper. And Cooper will be back at Texas in September later on this month. And look, I don't hear quite as much buzz or chatter maybe around Miami right now as far as him being thinking about flipping to Miami as I do maybe James Johnson. But look, We know I've been told from day one with Derrek Cooper and even guys like Calvin Russell that Miami's going to play, quote unquote, the long game in this recruitment, not press them to flip right now, not try to change their minds on one visit, but take this all the way to December. December 3rd is signing day, and try to get this done that week or that day in December. So look, Cooper's interested in Miami. Miami loves him. Let's see what happens in the coming months.
Yeah, let's see. All right, one more we got to hit on. That's Zion Elee, the number 1 overall player in the Rivals industry rankings. It's been really quiet on him. I mean, really, I just have him on here because he's committed to Maryland. When he committed, everybody thought, hey, it's only a matter of time. But here we are, out of week 1. Maryland gets a big win. Zion Elee, he's throwing up the turtle emojis on Twitter. So what's the latest on him, and do you think this is one that we just got to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I think you said it right there. Just keep an eye on. Look, Zion has been somewhat of an under-the-radar quiet guy when it comes to visits, comes to commitment, that kind of quiet visit to Auburn over the summer. And look, he says all the right things about Maryland. He was back in town. He can kind of be a face of that program. I know he's actively recruiting other players to join him at Maryland as well. So but that's not going to stop schools like Auburn, South Carolina. Other schools are in the mix still recruiting him. But right now, until he shows up somewhere else outside of College Park, Maryland, he seems to be pretty strong to Maryland.
All right. You guys are the real recruiting experts. We just went over 5 stars that we're watching. Do you think any of these names are going to flip between now and signing day? Are there any other names that you think could flip between now and signing day? Let us know. Comment section below.